The first video that helped me reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours on YouTube was not a highly produced video. It was simply a true story about how I lost nearly 30 kilograms, or about 66 pounds,
in less than 5 months, mainly by changing what I ate every day.
But the most important part was not the number on the scale. What truly made me want to share this story was the major changes that happened inside my body.
Hello, my name is Dr. T, and I am an anesthesiologist and critical care physician.
About 3 years ago, I weighed 85 kilograms, or around 187 pounds. From the outside, I may have seemed to be functioning normally.
I still went to the hospital. I still cared for patients. I still completed long shifts.
But inside, my body was sending me more and more warning signs. I often felt heavy. I became tired easily. I had very little energy. I would wake up without feeling truly refreshed. And when I had a health checkup, the results made it impossible for me to keep ignoring the problem. My blood lipids were high. My liver enzymes were elevated. My uric acid was high. And my blood sugar and metabolic markers were beginning to show abnormalities. As a doctor, I understood that these numbers were not simply results printed on a laboratory report. They were signals.
Signals that if I continued living the same way, my body might pay the price within the next few years.
But there was a paradox that many people have probably experienced. We know what is good for our health. But knowing is one thing. Actually doing it is another. My work schedule was extremely busy. My shifts were unpredictable. I had almost no consistent time for exercise. My meals often depended on my work schedule, convenience, habits, and the cravings that came after stressful hours at the hospital. I ate whatever was quick, whatever was easy to buy, whatever made me feel better for a few minutes. But that short-term comfort gradually created a body that I no longer felt comfortable living in. Over time, I noticed that I was becoming slower, heavier, less motivated. Then one day, I asked myself a very simple question. If I continue living this way for another 5 years, where will my health be? I already knew the answer, and it was not a positive future. That question pushed me to seriously look for a different path. I did not simply want to lose a few kilograms so I would look better in the mirror. I wanted my body to feel lighter. I wanted to sleep better. I wanted better lab results. I wanted more energy when I woke up. Most importantly, I wanted to regain the feeling that I was in control of my own health. During my research, I came across an approach sometimes described as modern macrobiotic eating. My first reaction was not excitement. It was skepticism. There are far too many diets online that are promoted as miracles. Eat one specific food. Eliminate an entire food group. Or follow a certain formula for a few weeks. And supposedly, every health problem will disappear. As a doctor, I do not easily believe promises that sound too fast, too perfect, or too simple. But instead of rejecting the idea immediately, I decided to examine it more carefully. I read. I compared different sources. I observed how the method was being used in real life. Traditional macrobiotics was developed by Professor George Osawa, a Japanese who played an influential role in popularizing this approach. Over time, many people continued to adapt it to make it more suitable for modern life. One of its main principles is balance in food selection. This approach looks at food not only in terms of calories, but also its characteristics, preparation methods, proportions among food groups, and suitability for each individual.
Some schools of macrobiotics also use concepts such as yin and yang, or the ratio of potassium to sodium to explain balance.
I do not consider this an absolute truth. I also do not believe it should be applied in exactly the same way to everyone.
But the more I learned, the more I recognized an important idea. Perhaps the body does not need an extreme diet.
Perhaps what it needs is food that is simpler, less processed, and more balanced. After carefully considering it, I decided to try the approach on myself.
I did not take weight loss medication. I did not use any special supplements. I did not force myself to exercise excessively.
The biggest change happened in my kitchen and on every plate of food. I built my meals around a fairly simple ratio. About 70% consisted of whole grains or brown rice, and other minimally processed grains. About 20% consisted of vegetables,
and about 10% consisted of meat, fish, or an other appropriate protein source. I called this the 7-to-2-1 ratio.
For example, the main part of my meal might include red-brown rice, whole oats, or whole grain bread. Then I would add vegetables. Finally, I would include a moderate amount of meat, fish, or another protein-rich food. I did not turn eating into a battle against myself. I still ate enough meals throughout the day. I simply tried to give each meal a clearer structure. I wanted my eating to depend less on emotion. I ate fewer highly processed foods, and I chose more foods in their natural or minimally processed form. In addition, once a week, I tried skipping breakfast on the weekend. Once a month, I chose one day when I ate only lunch and skipped the other 2 meals.
However, I want to be honest. I did not follow everything perfectly.
Some weeks, I was too busy. Some months, my work schedule was completely disrupted. At times, I could not maintain the plan as intended. But I realized something very important. Health is not determined by one perfect day. It is shaped by good enough choices, repeated over a long period of time. So instead of forcing myself to be perfect, I focused on one basic principle. For most meals, I tried to return to the 7-to-2-1 ratio. Then my body began to respond. The first change was not my weight. It was the feeling of being lighter and more comfortable after eating. I no longer regularly felt overly full, sleepy, and drained of energy after meals. Then my sleep began to improve. I woke up feeling less sluggish. My energy became more stable throughout the day. My body gradually became leaner. Movement also started to feel easier. But perhaps the most surprising change was in my mental well-being. As my body felt less heavy, my mood became more positive. I felt more flexible, happier, and more motivated to continue. In less than 5 months, I lost nearly 30 kilograms, or about 66 pounds. That was an enormous amount for me. But what mattered even more was that my laboratory results later returned to the normal range. I want to emphasize that this was my personal experience. One person's results cannot represent everyone.
Every person has a different metabolic condition. Each individual may have different medical conditions, medications, and nutritional needs. However, for me, these changes were about much more than weight loss. I felt as though I had finally stepped out of a long period of physical and mental stagnation. I no longer simply knew that diet could affect health. I had experienced that effect directly in my own body. That experience strengthened my belief in the role of nutrition. Not because someone told me that this method was effective, but because I saw the changes in my weight, energy, sleep, and health checkup results. Afterward, I began sharing this way of eating with members of my family. I also discussed it with certain patients when it was appropriate, but always within very clear limits. Changing your diet is not a reason to stop medication on your own. Nor should diet be viewed as a complete replacement for medical treatment. Each person must be evaluated based on their medical conditions, laboratory results, current medications, and actual response to dietary changes.
My mother previously needed regular medication to manage ischemic heart disease, vertigo, and anxiety.
After about 4 months of adjusting her diet using this approach, together with close health monitoring, her condition improved significantly. At present, under appropriate medical evaluation and follow-up, she no longer needs daily medication in the same way she did before. My father has chronic diabetes. After approximately 3 months of dietary changes, his medication dosage was gradually reduced.
By around the 6th month, there were periods when he did not need medication, but he still had to monitor his blood sugar regularly. Of course, this process was always handled cautiously and under close supervision. There were times when my father did not follow the eating plan appropriately, and his blood sugar rose significantly. When that happened, medication was restarted to stabilize his blood sugar, and his diet was adjusted again afterward. Reducing or stopping medication was considered only when his blood sugar returned to a safe level and remained stable. This is the point I want to emphasize. We should not turn a dietary approach into an extreme belief. Nutrition can support health, but chronic diseases still require serious medical monitoring. This is especially important for diabetes, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, kidney disease, or gout. Stopping medication without medical guidance can lead to dangerous consequences. Some patients I have spoken with had conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, high blood lipids, elevated liver enzymes, gout, psoriasis, or kidney disease. After adjusting their diets in ways that were more appropriate for their individual conditions, some reported positive changes. However, I do not view these experiences as proof that one dietary approach can cure disease. I see them as signs that nutrition may play an important supportive role when it is used appropriately. Based on my personal experience and what I have observed, I believe modern macrobiotic eating may be an approach worth exploring. This is especially true when it encourages people to return to simpler meals, less processed food, and better balance among food groups. But it is not a miracle. It does not completely replace modern medicine, and it certainly should not be applied mechanically to everyone. An approach is truly valuable only when it is appropriate for the individual, carefully monitored, and sustainable over the long term. I am deeply grateful to the people who have researched, developed, and shared these perspectives. Because of them, I had the opportunity to reconsider my relationship with food. I realized that every meal does more than simply make us feel full. It also sends a signal to the body every day. One meal may force the body to work harder, but an appropriate meal may also help the body feel more stable and comfortable. Now, I want to share this journey with people who are looking for a new perspective on eating, balance, and health. In future videos, I will discuss food choices in greater detail. How to prepare food. How to build a meal using the 7-to-1 ratio. The changes some people may notice during the early stages. And the common difficulties people may face when they begin changing the way they eat. Because the truth is that this journey is not always easy. You may crave familiar foods. Your body may need time to adapt. Your family, work schedule, and meals outside the home may make consistency difficult. But you do not have to change everything in one day. You only need to begin with one meal. Then another. Health rarely changes because of one enormous decision. It usually changes because of small choices repeated for long enough. If you are interested in this journey, please subscribe to the channel and follow the upcoming videos. I will do my best to share everything in a practical, easy to understand, and responsible way. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. And I would also like to ask you one question. What is making you want to improve your health right now? Is it your weight, your sleep, your laboratory results? Or do you simply want more energy to live your life and care for your family? Please share your answer in the comments below. Your story may also inspire someone else to begin. This video is intended only to share a personal experience and provide an additional perspective for consideration. It is not a substitute for medical diagnosis, professional advice, or treatment. If you have an underlying medical condition or take medication, especially medication for diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, or gout, please speak with a physician or qualified nutrition professional before changing your diet, fasting, or adjusting any medication.